There we go. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Coach Chris here. I've got the pleasure of interviewing today Mr. Mike Frye. Mike is running for Superior Court Judge in the upcoming election here in SLO County. And I've gotten the opportunity to meet Mike a few months back through our District Attorney Dan Dow, and it's been a really neat time getting to know him and his wife and his background and why he's running for Superior Court Judge. And I just felt that it was compelling enough for those of you that haven't had a chance to meet Mike yet to at least meet him here in a video. I'm sure you'll meet him soon at one of the events and let him share his story and his background and why he's running for Superior Court Judge. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Chris.
Good to have you here today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's been fun getting to know you and talking to you and learning more about who Mike Frye is, and really appreciate everything you've done up to this point in your career and for keeping our county safe and the task that you're taking on. You know, it's a big one, and we appreciate that. So maybe share with the audience first, you know, your background. What's
Sure.
Mike been doing for the last few years?
Okay.
All right.
Well, maybe I should start kind of back at the beginning.
Yes.
So I'm an attorney. I've been in the district attorney's office here for 6 years with Dan Dow. When I came out of law school, I went to a civil firm, was there for, I don't know, several years, realized I really liked the courtroom. So, okay, I'm going to go to the district attorney's office in Fresno. I was living in Fresno at the time. My wife and I went to the DA's office there and just to get trial experience. But what I found once I was there is that I loved the courtroom a lot, and I really enjoyed representing victims of crimes and being part of the process where victims' rights were really, I felt satisfied. So I ended up staying in the district attorney's office in Fresno for 16 years. And during that time, I just got broad experience. It's a very active DA's office, a lot of crime in Fresno, a lot of poverty, huge disparities in wealth, ethnic backgrounds. You had everything there, gangs. So I ended up doing pretty much everything. I did juvenile crime, I did sexual assault, I did gang crimes, I did 2 tours on the homicide team. And by the time I was done there, I had tried just about every kind of case that can be tried in a state court, cases, a lot of gang cases, a lot of very sensitive, highly sensitive cases, racial cases, and I went from there to the United States Attorney's Office. And I was there in Fresno for about 3.5 years, and there the pace was different. It was dealing with larger cases. I was doing drug trafficking, drugs coming in from Mexico. I was dealing with a lot of crimes up in the state park, or the federal parks, that is, sexual assault cases up there, and ultimately, and then homicides as well. Ultimately, I ended up doing sex trafficking, human trafficking.
Oh boy!
And obviously, that's an important.
Yes.
Continues to be a big issue. And while I was there, I actually met Dan Dow.
Oh, okay.
There was a case where some gang members from Fresno, Bulldog gang members, took 2 young girls and they were prostituting them in different places. They ended up in San Luis Obispo. One of the girls was actually able to get away, called her mom. Her mom came, essentially rescued her.
Oh,
They
wow.
called the police. The 2 guys were arrested. So because the case came from Fresno, Dan and I talked back and forth because he had the case.
Right.
So ultimately we decided to have the case taken to Fresno, prosecuted as a federal crime, and those 2 guys ended up going away to prison.
Good.
But during the course of that, Dan and I got to know each other.
Yeah.
So, and over the next couple of years, we kept talking, and eventually an opening occurred here. I was able to apply and was essentially recruited over to this office. So I've been here for about 6 years.
Okay.
My wife is a nurse practitioner. She was at Cal Poly for a while, and she just retired from there, and is now a nurse practitioner at Cottage Health and Urgent Care.
Cool.
I have 4 kids.
All right.
My oldest, William, is he's in his residency for emergency. He's an emergency doctor.
Oh.
He's married. I've got a daughter who's a teacher. She is married to a guy who's about to finish law school.
All right.
My youngest daughter lives in Morro Bay and has been in the wine industry, is leaving that, going back actually to college. And then my youngest just graduated. He was working in a surf shop, shaping boards and surfing all the time. So
well, I can't blame him.
Right.
It's the perfect place to be doing that.
Yeah, so it's a good time for me to run for judge. And the reason it's important for you to understand the breadth of my experience is you want judges in these courts in our county who are experienced, who've done everything.
Right.
And also recognize not only that they can prosecute a case and know how technically to put a case together and end up with the right result, but do it in a way that really is ethical, and is balanced. And when you've seen enough cases, you start recognizing, oh, this is how this case should end. This is the right result. You want justice, but you really want a balance.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I've landed as with my experience, that I've got the kind of experience you need as a judge, because as a judge you are making decisions that affect people's lives forever.
Absolutely.
And it can even be as simple as a traffic ticket, you coming in and that judge looking at you and go, oh, I actually believe you. Or a victim of a crime who comes in to talk about how she was sexually assaulted, and being able to present that case to a jury where the jury goes, yeah, I believe her. And as a judge, you're the one who sets the tone in the courtroom. You're the one who you're the referee. You're not telling people what to do, but you are making certain that when people come through those front doors, they're being heard. Whether it's a victim, whether it's a witness, and and especially if it's a defendant, because those people's lives are affected, and you want the right result for them. And that's why having somebody with experience is important. Now, the opportunity has just come up. Typically, judges are appointed.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's usually what happens is a term for a judge is 6 years.
Okay.
So if in the middle of that term, a judge retires, the governor, and that's what happens 9 out of 10 times. The governor, who's ever up in the governor's office, will appoint the new judge.
Got it.
So it is a little bit political. So whoever's sitting up there, they're going to look and make their decision. So it's rare that a spot opens up where the people in the community actually get to decide who's going to be their judge. And that's what we have now. So I'm running against one other individual. His name is Paul Phillips. He's a guy who's been in San Luis Obispo for a long time. He's an experienced attorney. He does primarily criminal defense work, but he's somebody that I respect.
Well, good. You know what I like about what you just said, Mike, about having a background, living the front lines of what you did as a prosecutor and all that stuff, understanding the victims, understanding the people that are going to come in your courtroom. You can't read that in a book. You can't, it's from hands-on experience. Why I've always appreciated, somebody that's pursuing an office or a profession. Nothing beats real life experience, and I really believe that that's going in your favor, and I think people do appreciate that, because look, you are that final person there. You're making decisions for people's lives, and to just think about theory or read this in a book or I thought that's not fair to the person that is in front of you, right? So you have the greatest opportunity, I believe, to be as fair as you can because of the experience. And when people understand that, they're going to appreciate that. There's always going to be competition. Somebody's running against somebody, and we all look at our candidates are running for office and do our best to make a decision on who's going to be the best one for that candidate, for that spot, And when I heard about your background and hands-on stuff, I thought, well, you're the right kind of guy to be running for Superior Court judge. I know what I've seen over the years, people that run for that office are usually, they're attorney, they have a law background, but nothing to the extent that you have gone over the last few decades. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. I know it's an important position. We're excited about you there, and that this opportunity came up, like you said. No accidents, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. But you answered the call, and
Yeah.
and we appreciate that, and are excited. And gosh, we're just about 4 weeks
4 weeks
huh?
away, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been a long journey.
I bet it has.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I bet it has. Well, for people that want to know more about you, Mike, or how to, support your campaign, what's the best place for them to go to?
Sure, it's Frye, Frye, for Judge, FOR, judge.com. And I've got a website. I've got everything there about me, all of my endorsements. I didn't mention that, but I do.
Yeah.
I'm endorsed by Dan Dow, Debbie Arnold, John Pashong, Lynn Compton, Dawn Ortiz-Legg, Tom Bordenaro, Jordan Cunningham.
Oh, wow.
I have, let's see, Paso Robles Police Department Association, Rio Grande Police Department Association, CAL FIRE, and there's one more I'm missing. I hope they don't know. Who is it? Arroyo Grande. Not I said Arroyo Grande, but Tuscadero.
Tuscadero.
And
Okay.
then about 9 judges.
Oh, wow.
And I would just let me add the importance of that is demeanor, right?
Demeanor, yes.
You want a judge who's got good demeanor, not
Yeah.
just somebody who's knowledgeable or experienced, but demeanor.
Demeanor.
The
That's
judges
really
I
good.
have who have endorsed me are the ones that I worked with in Fresno.
Wow.
These are people who I work beside in the DA's office, and then judges who have had trials in front of. The local judges are not really endorsing for the most part. There's one judge,
Sure.
and part of it is it's such a small community that the ones who are going to be there in January, who will still be there, they've all pretty much said we're not going to endorse.
And that makes sense. I can respect that.
My opponent did get the endorsement of the sitting judge who we are replacing, but they've known each other for I think 35 years or something.
Sure.
So I get that.
Yeah, you get that. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience, Mike, that we maybe didn't cover here? I think you did a great job letting people know your background, why you're running. I think the why is always the big thing, I know for me, when I get to hear people's story and why they're running for a particular office, that's where I can connect, with the heart, and we appreciate public servants because it's a tough job. It really is a tough job, and I take my hat off to it.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
what you do, though.
Yeah.
You energize our community, and I appreciate it.
Well, we all have our parts to play. People say, Chris, why don't you run for office? I go, no, I'm better in the background. There's guys like Mike that should be taking that. But any last things
Just
you
that
want
we
to share?
love here. I mean, we've only been here 6 years. So my parents are here.
Oh.
My brother's been here for 25 years. He's an emergency room doctor.
Yeah.
And at Twin Cities. And so my wife and I love the outdoors. We have a little teeny sailboat that we race together. I surf, backpack. And,
Right on.
And cycle and run. So.
Well, good. So maybe one last thing. What do you think? What are maybe 2 or 3 things that I would like to talk positive when you're elected, not if. When you're elected, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you think you want to? There's a whole array of things, but what would those 2 or 3 things really be that you would feel like, man, if I could tackle these, or I can influence or do that, that's going to really help everybody, be a win-win-win all the way around? What would those things be?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is really important, and I hear this again and again from victims of crimes, is that they're actually kind of traumatized by how long it takes cases to get through the system. Coming back to court time after time for continuances, and some of those continuances are just necessary.
Yeah.
But I really feel that there's things that I could do as a judge to promote 99% of cases settle before trial.
Okay.
So if I can push a case to resolution earlier, I have some tools to do that.
Good.
Certain things is just identifying certain cases that should settle early, get the parties together and kind of force them to talk, make myself available before court, at lunch, after court, be accessible so I can help facilitate settlements of cases, right? Because it does, I mean, when you have cases that just continue to be that are continued over week after week, or every couple of weeks, pretty soon you've got a lot of cases, and now everybody wants you to kick the cases over.
Sure.
And you have this unending cycle. But I think if I can identify the cases that I see that can settle early, to really make a strong effort to get that done. Our courts do a pretty good job of that. I just think I can do better than what I've seen.
Good.
And the other thing is just really continuing to make certain that people, when they come into court, are heard. If there's anything I want people to know, even if the result is not something they wanted, that they were at least heard.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody today. He said he had this case that had been around forever. They went through trial. They actually lost the case, but one of the victims came to him and it was just like, thank you for doing what you did. I mean, he felt that he had the opportunity to be heard, and that's what's important. I think judges control those courtrooms, and they set the demeanor, they set the tone, and they set the pace. And so I want to be the one setting that pace and doing the right things for the right reasons and getting the cases resolved early if I can.
Good. Well, great.
That's one thing. And the rest of it, the other thing too is we have a real homeless issue here, obviously.
Yeah. Yes.
There are homeless courts in about 20 of the counties in the state. We do not have one here.
Oh, we don't?
It has been, no.
Wow.
It has been something that has been earmarked by the county. It's something we should be doing.
Sure.
And they're simple. There's two types of courts. One is the judge, bailiff, a few other people, a DA, a public defender. You go out to different locations, and it's people who have cases that are just lingering in the system. So therefore, every time they are picked up, they get taken to jail because they've got this warrant on some case they didn't show up for. But it's kind of a ridiculous case. Maybe it's an old drunk in public from 10 years ago or something. So what you do is you create a place where those cases, when you have particular people who want to be involved, they come to court, or these are actually courtrooms out in the community, in whatever center you find, and you sit down with people, you resolve the cases. If the cases can be dismissed, you dismiss them. If there's something you're going to require of these people to do, you get that taken care of, and then and basically you're helping to clean up the backlog of cases. But what you're doing for those individuals is, if you've got some traffic ticket sitting out there and there's a warrant, if you've got some fine you hadn't paid, it keeps you from getting your license, it keeps you from getting housing. There's a lot of barriers that just having cases lingering in the system creates for people who are homeless.
Got it.
And you take a few of those little barriers out, and you nudge them one step closer to actually becoming housed again. So that's something I've done some. There is a receptiveness in our community for that type of thing, and I think it just takes one judge who's willing to say, hey, I'll do this.
You'll champion it. Thanks for sharing that, because I never really would have thought of that, but I know there's so many. Homeless is not an easy issue. I mean, it's like you just shared something new that I learned today, that these kind of barriers that are going to stop them, and if they can resolve some of those, the one step further to not be homeless. So, well, good. Well, I think that's a darn good cause to champion. I think there'd be a lot of people that would help you support that, because we all know that the homeless issue is rampant, but we also know it's very complex, and there's so many different factors of it that have to be looked at. And I know there's some other candidates running on the Board of Supervisors that, homeless is at the top of their thing. So it's good to see that, look, there's always plenty to do, but you just chop away at one at a time, right? Yeah. Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure
Thank you.
Interviewing you today. Yeah, bless you. God bless you. You're taking on a big thing in your family, I know, and I just want to let everyone know that please take the time, go to Mike's website, learn more about Mike if you want. Keep an eye on his events, so if you want to come and meet him, shake his hand, hear him speaking more. But I just want to let everybody know, I don't endorse a lot of people for various reasons, but I want to let you know that I'm personally endorsing Mike Frye as the founder of the People of Purpose and CEO of Regenesis 360, and happy to do that. And
thank you.
We're behind you. So
thank you.
We'll look forward to June 8th. We'll be celebrating.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Me and my church and my family.
Well, there you go. There you go. Any other final thoughts? Or
no, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you soon.